everybody, Goosebumps for Dummies here, and today we are going to be ranking the Monster Blood Octology. Yeah, there's 8 of these stories now, and thanks to the recent graphic novel, I am due a re-rank. Great. And I've got some thoughts, obviously. This series, Monster Blood, doesn't need to exist, but it does, and I think that is solely to make money. Yeah. But that's not to say there isn't good in this series, and I argue that there's a good few books I'd say you should check out. But either way, we're going to be ranking it today, and I shall go over my criteria very briefly. What I count as a Monster Blood story is basically, it's a Monster Blood story. It's quite literally just that. We have the original quadrilogy, obviously. We have Monster Blood for Breakfast, Monster Blood is Back, the Presents book, which I forgot last time, way back, and the now more recent graphic novel. Those are my picks, and I will not be including the original TV episode from the 90s, as well as the original TV episode from the 90s, which is exclusive to the show, Monster Blood Again, or whatever it's called. I think it's called More Monster Blood. And I won't be including, before anyone asks, this story, which is a little Monster Blood short story made by R.L. Stine himself for this little book. I just don't want to talk about it. It's not really anything legitimately Goosebumps, I feel. It's just a thing that kind of exists. We will also not be including stories like Screams of the Night that briefly include Monster Blood, as well as UIGs that do the same, where it's barely even a cameo. So yeah, that's some basic criteria. There's 8 books to rank. Let's just dive in. Inevitably, Monster Blood 4 makes up our bottom pick. It is the close to the original quadrilogy, and the close to the original Goosebumps series. So, it's an interesting note to leave off on. 4th book in a franchise that is already overstaying its welcome. And it tries to change up the game a lot, and I can appreciate it for that. In fact, I think this is an almost guilty pleasure read for me, as much as I do think the book is a bit of a bore in the back half, or is a bit of a headache in the first. There's some elements in here that I kind of dug. There's some sci-fi bit near the end. I kind of like the concept we had going on here. I like that Stine tried to change it up, because clearly it was not going to work. It does open the realm for world building, but it's not a very good book, thanks to, again, what I mentioned earlier, and also the fact that the characters kind of suck. They are very 100% annoying pieces of shit in here. But yeah, Monster Blood 4, sadly, a very weak entry to leave off on for almost a decade. Inevitably, again, this was also going to be very low. Monster Blood is back. Oh, man, I want to like this book a lot more than I do. I think I give it about a 4. Monster Blood is Back is really one of those stories where it's like, it has a great idea, because it makes sense. This is a good idea, Stine. Thank you. You can cook. Conceptually. Because the execution is wonky. There's things in here I don't like. There's a character I believe is really annoying, and there's also more particularly the final, 20 pages of the book, maybe more, maybe less, either way. That final little bit of the book is just so... Really? What the fuck is going on? And it's gotta be some of the worst Goosebumps I've ever read, especially when you get to the ending where, spoiler alert, it was all a dream. Kill me. Sorry to burst the zeitgeist bubble of this being a liked one. No. I mean, this isn't exactly a liked one, but it's definitely praised for a thing that really doesn't need praise. Cuddles. With Monster Blood 2. Cuddles is nothing special here. He is just a plot device to add a fucking climax to this book, I guess. That's really the best way I can put it. The story itself is a drag. Andy is a bit of a doofus in here, and this is just one of the most unentertaining Monster Blood reads out there. It is by the numbers as crap, and it is nothing I would recommend anyone check out, apart from just saying you've read the Cuddles book. Maybe. Or if you're a diehard, of course. Monster Blood for Breakfast. This is the comeback from the 90s quadrilogy, and it is an interesting comeback. I think it is not the best way we could have came back. I think there's obviously better stories you can cook up here, because it's quite basic. And there's interesting material here. The locker room scene, as well as just concepts that have been done before. Nothing particularly special, but I think this is one of the better written, drama-wise, of all things, Goosebumps stories. It was not bad, but nothing special. Now, this one I have a soft spot for, if I'm being honest. And also, It's inoffensive. Monster blood free. There's really nothing I see that is wholly wrong with this entry aside from being a basic bitch. This one does absolutely nothing spectacular. It is exactly what you'd expect when you hear the concept of monster blood. It is the pinnacle of that, really. It's monster blood makes things grow, so kid turns giant. And that is evident in this book. And it's nothing spectacular, but it's something that isn't bad, but isn't anything to be rave-worthy. And now for the Presents book. This is a very simple one. I'm not going to talk about this one a lot, just real briefly. This is based off a very solid episode, and it's a very solid version of that. There's not a lot of change. It actually does indeed have the final bit where it leads to more monster blood, which would have been cool to see it be followed up by that in the series order, except that didn't happen. But it's interesting. We almost got that episode in book form. It would have been really interesting, and I could actually include it in the fucking ranking. But now, kind of off topic, this is just a solid little entry. Now getting to the monster blood material I think is really rave-worthy, kind of. We have the graphic novel. This just came out, too. It might be a little bit of recency bias, but I think this is pretty on par with you know what else. What it's based off. Yeah, Monster Blood graphic novel. This is a very, very, very good attempt at making Monster Blood in a graphic novel form. Because obviously this isn't the most visually interesting story. The only thing it really has going for it is the slime. And I guess the toy shop, which Maddie Gonzalez poured her absolute heart into. She really tried to make anything in this book that she could more standout-ish and feel like it deserves a graphic novel. Did it? No, but I think she did a good job no less. She really tried to make this thing as good as it could be, and it's oozing with ecstasy. Yeah, it's a very, very solid version of the original Monster Blood story, but not quite as good. Yeah, I'm a basic bitch. Sue me. Monster Blood, the OG, the classic, the absolute first, is the best Monster Blood story in my opinion. Really, it's just how I feel. I think this is the best written one for starters. It was obviously a product of its time. This is when Stine was really starting to get into the groove of Goosebumps, trying to find his footing, and wasn't writing these things so quickly. This was still in the era where it wasn't always once a month. That started with book 9, I believe. So this was just a very good, solid attempt at making a slime horror story. As well as introducing some very good characters. I like Andy, I like Evan, I think their dynamic is good. There's some great elements in here, like with the whole Sarah Beth thing. And it's just a very solid, entertaining read that I feel is just an almost classic for Goosebumps. Not absolute S tier, but a very good A tier story. It's great. Not fantastic, but a very darn good read. I said it. I really like Monster Blood. And yeah, that is my ranking for the Monster Blood octology / series, excluding the episodes and all that. Monster Blood is a very interesting series once again. This series is hopefully just dead at this point, so we can make way for hopefully something new to get a franchise. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed this ranking. Leave your own down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.